All right. All right, is that one, please? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we will approve that. Or you want to go ahead with the financials? Um,
So you're looking for two pieces, two the colored pieces.
So, you know, when you're ready.
Okay, to start your check?
I think so.
Has everyone had a chance to look the financials over? Did anyone have any questions that they had right now? Okay. Right, so I'll just go through them. And if you do have questions afterwards, just let me know. So for the month ending November 30th, 2025, I'll review the summary, which reflects all the numbers on the actual statements. So all the highlighting on the summary, except for the bright yellow and bright green, correspond to the highlighting on the financial statements. So for the balance sheet, the key financial points, total cash is about 258,000. That does not include the CDs and other investments currently valued at $276,782.36. The total cash, CDs, and other investments, which the other investments are the Adirondack Foundation, from the 25,000 for that, they're about $26,600 less than this time last year. Total accounts receivable is about $130,300, which is about $79,000 more than this time last year. 47% of the receivables are current within 60 days, 13% are between 61 and 90 days, and the remaining 40% are over 90 days. As of today, all of our receivables are current. We've collected all the money from Mary and FMPP and New York State Farm School. So we're all caught up. Our prepaid expenses are about $9,700. Of $8,000 of that is for prepaid insurances. Accounts payable is $42,300, which includes the Cornell bill of $37,890. That's a little bit less than last November because we had more staff at this time last year. Our deferred revenues are about $12,300. The Stewart's funds were completely expended as of 12/31. 4-H, welding, and Happy Trails were added to the 2026 budget, and Elizabeth had a discussion with Jake, and she'll let you know that why they'll still remain on the books until next year. Did you want me to do that now?
Sure, no, sure, it's really just, he's having a hard time finding a welding instructor. And he has had a hard time, because there were so many changes in 2026, he was not able to, work with Chantel, who is the person for whom that Happy Trails money was donated for her to work with youth. So really, he has been trying on both fronts to do that. I think probably, I'm gonna guess that we'll be able to track down a welding instructor. If anyone knows of another one, we want to go ahead and get that done. And preferably, at least in the first quarter, if we can.
Richard was the first night.
He didn't answer. So if you could coach Jake a little bit, that would be great, because that's such a great program. And so that would be great if you could help him. And he does have some ideas for how to kind of do the Happy Trails a little bit differently. This is also not the best time for Happy Trails. So we will continue to get those off the books and get them wrapped up.
So I did highlight the Stewart's match on here because it wasn't used until December, but that's gone as of now. Did anybody have any questions on the balance sheet?
I'll just say that just to point it out on the back, the 4-H welding has about $2,400 left in it. And, the Happy Trails is actually pretty high, it's about 7,000. So we want to drop that one up.
So key financial points for the statement of operations were 92% through the year, and that net from transfers and operations is $141,237.18. The budgeted revenues are at 85% and the expenses are at 72%. Any categories 15% more or less than the expected percentage are highlighted in green below. The program and operating revenues are 117%. And part of that is from the extra money we brought in for the food pantries, which increased that percentage quite a bit. And also there were other programming we had throughout the year where we charged small fees. So that brought that up too. And then the program and operating expenses includes the grants. So those are all, we limited our spending on that. So that's why those are so low. And that's all I have for the statement of operations. Any questions on that?
How much money ran through that food bank donations?
We got 20,000 from the
Yeah.
county and then about another 5 from private donations. I
Is
think
that still going on?
we haven't gotten any recently, not in January. I think we said 7 states and 30+ donors. So it was but I think what happened was we got it going. I mean, Lori got it going within like a week.
Absolutely, that was amazing.
It was amazing and I think other people took a little while to catch up, but I think the food pantries themselves actually set up their own fundraising, which is fine. It's whatever the way is to get the money to the people. We just had an opportunity to do it and we got there first, but it's fine as long as people continue to donate, and we will continue to put the word out there.
You guys can take credit cards, correct?
Correct.
That's the positive.
Yes, that was one of the reasons why we wanted to do it, was because a lot of the food pantries weren't set up for credit cards and they had no way to take any out of state donations. And when you see 7 different states, in a lot of places in New York that are not close, not in Essex County, people with second homes were inquiring. And so once everybody else got stuff set up, those donors might be just going directly to the food pantry of their choice now, because some of them did set up credit card processing. But I do feel really good about that going forward, and it also taught us a real lot about setting up donation portals. Yeah, and
Because it was really great too, for us in the town of Jay, we were in the process of switching over from our town running a food pantry to the Episcopal Church running a food bank.
yeah,
And they were promised that they were going to become part of the food bank, but because everything went on pause, they're still in kind of limbo. So they're still working just off of donations.
oh,
And when it was at the community center at the town hall, we were maybe doing 5-10 people a week. They're averaging like 60 to 70 a week.
wow.
So it's been really great. And they've been getting a lot of donations directly from the farms and
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's what honestly, I think that was the best outcome. 2 things. One, we were able to distribute the funding that was directed to us by the county, but also because it just totally elevated really quickly, like right away, how to give money. And so we'll keep it going.
and I'll probably end up talking more about that in one of my weekly updates to remind people they can still donate through that portal.
Oh, yeah,
for our
sure,
food bank.
sure. Yes, we have a good system set up now.
Are you on the menu of?
Yep.
Okay.
And that was the thing too, we were getting switched from us to them,
Mhm.
so.
Well, the other one that I have not been able to investigate yet, but that we probably want to investigate, is there is now veterans, specifically one at the VA, which we should probably include in our list. But I haven't I don't know exactly how it works, like how they're doing it, and if they can even accept cash donations or only food, I don't really know, I'll find out.
Well, there are 2 new supervisors that are the liaisons to the veteran,
Oh, good to know.
so, Clayton Messner and, from Crown Point and, Tim Pierce from Lewis
Oh, good,
are
okay.
both now liaisons.
Any other questions on the financials, anyone?
I switched to line and John called the person. Just
Oh, good. Hi, John.
Sorry, everyone on the screen, did anyone have any questions? Okay. So we can go ahead and get a motion.
Can I get a motion to accept the financials?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, a second, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Are you Zoom people approve? Okay, all right, so we'll accept the financials.
Would you please?
Um,
Initial payment.
It's this, right? We should have it right in there.
Yeah.
There's one here.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
Should have been in there somewhere. I don't know what I-
an adjustment to the annual deposit for Cornell.
Okay, so Cornell keeps a deposit for 1 month's payroll. It's an average, that is 12 months payroll. And this year we need to add 2579 to it because our average initial deposit requirement is 36,671. So the way we do that is we use funds from the the general fund. So we need to transfer the $2,579 from the general fund to the operating account to increase the initial payment deposit. And you need a motion.
I'll
to
make that
do
motion.
that.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone have any questions about it? There are some people who probably haven't seen that happen before. Has everyone been through a year? I think so.
I haven't.
Okay.
Generally speaking,
It's common. Yeah.
There's an increase in.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know.
You want
Closing transfer. Adding on your motion to accept the 2025 closing transfers as presented.
So all
Next
in
meeting?
favor of the
Yeah.
transfer?
Aye.
Any opposed? Everybody else doing good? Okay, so we'll transfer that money to the general fund. This is just a one-time thing,
It's once a year.
once a year, okay, all right, good.
If you get the darn staff did not want raises.
Well,
Well.
Yeah, okay, we won't.
Thinking of doing a whole salary,
Yeah,
really.
let's just give half our salary back.
we go back to doing the election of the board officers.
We had one more
Wait,
thing on the
One more
finance.
finance if we want to wrap that up, and then we can go back.
This is also an annual task.
It,
All right.
it's, nothing has changed. You all just approved it, but it has to be approved at the beginning of this year. So there's no surprises in there. It's exactly what you guys approved, I believe in December.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the
we-
authorization
we-
for financial controls.
Yes, the only thing that came into question this year that I'm aware of is the transaction with $25 in petty cash. Do we
Yeah,
have
that
to-
wasn't, yeah, I don't think so. That's a suggested amount. I just
Okay.
think that we
Okay,
don't use it as often, so it just,
we're not recommending a change.
I
No.
don't think so.
Cool.
You, $25 is usually plenty for.
Petty
you know,
cash.
Now, there was a
financial
discussion, was it last year or the middle of the year about having a second signer for a few aren't here? Is that part of this?
I think it's in there.
And did we figure it out?
Yes, Cole, I think, is the backup approver for all these things. So I'm not a signer on anything.
Yeah.
So we do have someone who can authorize. We have a lot of backups.
I thought we did that. So,
One other question, so in the financial audit, do the audit? And if so, does this respond to notes or comments that given that last year?
Well,
I mean,
yes,
it all looks good,
yes.
so.
So we got an internal audit from Cornell. We do not have a privately done audit. That's the customary procedure. We have an awesome relationship with Patrick Ferentz, who is the internal compliance officer. That's how it's customarily done with the CCE associations. And Laura has never gotten a deficiency in her financial reporting, so there is no need to make adjustments with our authorizations.
So the only finding is that our administrative cost is high, but that's typical for staff a lot of staff have longevity, like the higher staff, Lori, myself. we've been here for a long time, so the administrative costs are higher, and it's not a red flag, it's just they want you to be aware of it. And it's not like a sealed recommendation, it's just something that they want people to be aware of. So that's
And
the
when we
only
do
thing.
hire more program staff, we're short one program staff person too, so that would balance it out a little bit, even the percentage would be so high.
But other than that, there's nothing,
Efficiency direct.
any findings.
Okay, yeah, and it's not a bad thing that there are ever any comments, it's just.
Yeah.
That sometimes practices shift,
Mhm.
it's just.
Right.
That's
That's why
like
we
to
try
act
to
about both.
live by, we try to live
And
by
that's
these
a good
financial
point.
controls, because Cornell is aware of all of these things, so we try to follow them to the T.
Well, it looks good.
And we just need to have a
So
motion to
we get
adopt.
a motion to, adopt the financial control for 2026.
I will motion to adopt.
Second, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You all good? Okay. Florence, I can't hear you.
Well, they're all muted.
Lawrence, unmute if you want to weigh in. That's it.
Okay, all right, so we will approve the, financial control. You can go back and do the officers, the board officers.
Excuse me.
Alicia has graciously consented to take, the treasury from Daniel. Raquel will continue as treasurer, Jessica is vice president. And I will continue as president for next year.
Clarification, secretary, Martha will continue as secretary.
Over the whole thing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Raquel is gearing up. Oh, God.
No, I was gonna like, no.
Scared.
Okay, so, I give a motion, please, to approve the board.
I'll make that motion.
Any second?
I think you have to nominate them, so it's to
Nominate.
nominate them. Yeah,
All right.
It's a motion to approve the slate of officers
Yeah.
as presented.
okay, there we go.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have the-
What she said.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, good. And the second, please?
I will second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Lawrence, you good? Right in there?
I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good.
Okay. All right, so we will, approve our slate of officers. then.
Thank you all. Yeah, it's just really, generous of you to put your time into this, and we'll try and make it as easy for you as we can. By doing our jobs.
The staff reports were provided. Are there any
There are,
comments or?
there's a correction, which is that the Farmland Protection Board meeting is at 2 p.m. in case anyone's right about that. So the first item on that report. It's 2 p.m. this week.
Oh my gosh, did that change? Did you
Yeah.
cut it? Okay.
And, yeah, the, other thing which I pointed out to the supervisors this morning is just that we have, and Laura just pointed out, we have all of our, that our funding has all been restored from what was receivable. And I just have to brag about this stuff. We reached almost 13,000 participants this year in our programming, which is an insane increase. It's almost a 55% increase in direct contacts. And the majority of those are farm to school. It's because Ellie has been really riding the road and, we've been able to really expand. I think also, despite the funding disasters of the year, Pop Club went forward and we had a lot of kids at farmers markets and a lot of kids in schools. So that's really, really exciting. And Sam also keeps increasing, the senior wellness programs. And, so I'm just really proud of that. You know, the festival was really successful and, our staff would just work so hard. It's really great.
Yeah, I actually got an email that the seniors want to do now a walking thing before bingo size on Mondays.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
More the merrier.
We have really benefit from having Kate's doing and do those. So again, just having an extra, the public health core fellow allows us to reach more people. It's pretty straight up. And yeah, and Kirk has, Kirk, I don't know why I said that, I've been talking about Kirk all day for some unrelated person. Cole has been doing some great programming as well. You can see the picture. That's the small farm summit that happened in Westport in the town office. It was really well attended. And for Essex County, having 20 people show up at an event is a big deal. And it was great to see it such a big group and pretty diverse between ag service providers as well as farmers.
The executive director report.
I do have a couple of things to report. One is, we have 7 new supervisors. It would be during my, that'll be top priority in Q1 for me to go around and meet them and, are any of them farm backgrounds?
I don't think so.
Well, that's okay, because that gives us a chance to kind of go, I'm gonna try and meet them with Cole, so we can talk to them about what our agriculture profile looks like, and then. I will talk, then probably I'll talk about 4-H and talk about senior wellness programs, MGVs, consumer hort. And he'll talk about farm to school, agronomic harvest, and those things. Another thing on my list for the Q1 is really finally, I just want to give you an update on our strategic plan. The strategic plan is just a project that's been going on for 2 years. And I need to be able to talk concretely to people outside of our organization, both for fundraising, for the new supervisors about what the heck we're going to be doing here in 2026. So this is the highlights, which were gleaned from the plan, which honestly, there were so many changes in the world in 2025. It really was not real to make a strategic plan. Everything changed all the time.
Right.
So I think we're going to be in much better shape. We have already accomplished a bunch of the things that were, or some of the goals that were identified for 2025. So this is really focusing on what we're going to try and accomplish in 2026. Some of them are ongoing, some of them are specific. And so this is what I'll be talking about with the new supervisor, so they kind of know what we're doing. And then what I'll try and do is all the staff, also there were changes in the staff, so a bunch of the specific strategies for doing these things also shifted. The grant activities shifted. We need to revise those strategies. So we'll revise them, we'll put new timelines on them, and we'll try and have something back to you that will be the full package, not just the highlights in February. And unless you're new to the board, I emailed those all to Florence, Mike, John. You should have seen that in an email, and you can go back and take a look. Those are things that the board has seen more than once before, but I think prior to when you started. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and like I say, we'll be showing it in more detail soon, and the board can approve it as kind of the final seal of approval, and we'll wrap that up. That's all. And then the other thing that I don't really have a lot to report on, but I do know that despite the fact that our funding was restored, my mind is still trying to create a fundraising plan for us. But before I do that, the first thing I have to do is reset the Mary grant, the mentoring grant, because that really got set aside in 2025 because for so many reasons. But Jake and I are in a good place. We've been talking to some of our community partners, and we made a real breakthrough in last week, I spoke to one of the program directors from Utah. There's only 6 of us. I finally was able to reach one. We had a really good conversation. They basically handed me a manual of how to do a mentoring program, which they have done for 20 years, and said, you can have all the documents and edit them yourself. for Essex County if you want to. And what I did not know is that there has been a mentoring program in 4-H for a long time. Didn't know. So now I know. But I also have a manual and Jake has a manual. So I think that we'll be able to. We're gonna restore that. We're gonna get that back on track. It's gonna be, I think it's gonna be good and it's gonna be strong and it's gonna be successful.
What can that mentoring program do?
Well, the way we originally wrote it was to partner with specific community partners, but that mentoring program, we are gonna restore to what the 4-H nationwide mentoring program was, which is to pair individual kids with individual adults, and we're gonna focus it on agricultural related careers. And we can do single events, we can do group events, we can do, one of the things they do that I really like was have, they call them M&Ms, where the mentor and the mentee, where pairs of mentors and mentees do the same activities. So if we go to a farm to talk about sheep, the mentor and the mentee pairs go as a group. And so each youth has a person with them. And my hope is, and we have a really great list going, is to use students that graduated from high school around here. And I'm not gonna rule out anybody who wants to be a mentor, because some kids need mentors that have more of a psychological background. But there's a lot of great young people who are moving back here or who are staying here or who will be really kind of fun and relatable for the young people that want mentors. The other thing that I learned from that national mentoring person, he's great. And the woman that has been sort of the implementation person. For 20 years, they've been saying that all of the kids in their county are quote unquote at risk. We're sort of leaning away from the at risk phrase because it was unpopular with the federal administration last year. So, but quite honestly, any kid who grows up here is at risk of not being successful because it's hard to grow up here. Because there's not a lot of resources, there's not a lot of mentors, there's not a lot of transportation, housing is a problem, all those reasons. So he said absolutely they don't only work with the very, very challenging kids. They don't only work with the kids in juvenile probation or the kids who are in, really dire shape. They'll work with anyone and that they're all count for their program reporting. So, yeah, we have 3 kind of big themes that we had planned originally. One was civic engagement, one was citizen science, and one was creative arts. So our bigger community partners were going to be the Osceola Freshwater Center, Whiteface, actually, and the Depot Theater Friends Program. And so if we can get some of those older kids to mentor some of the younger kids in each one of those 3 areas, it'll be great. So we'll keep going on that original work plan, and then we'll also, Cole and Ellie are helping to identify people who are in the food system or food production or farmers themselves who would be willing to do, whether it's one-on-one mentoring or group mentoring, where we just take a bunch of mentor-mentee pairs to have them talk about what they do. The outcomes that we wrote into that grant were 2 things. Self-reported increase in hopefulness about their future and self-reported increase in trust in an adult. So if we can accomplish that for kids, that's it seems like pretty low bar, but it's actually not for the way that the shape that a lot of kids are in right now. So if they get a little bit of hope about what their future might look like, what something might lead to for them, and they have a person encouraging them, that's the first step. And then for them to trust a person to believe them when they talk about their own lives. And those are the 2 big outcomes that we named. Lots and lots of great other outcomes along the way. And who knows, maybe actually work opportunities or, I don't know, we'll see.
About that, good thing. I just have some thoughts. You have a teen program at the state level that maybe some of these kids that go through mentoring with this might be interested in if they're in the agricultural section. We have an animal and ag leadership programs.
Yeah, I've seen that, but I don't really know that much about it. So we're hoping that we'll take, once we have a group of mentor mentees, that we'll take them to Career Acts, that we'll take them to Capital Days, that we'll have them do public presentations about mentoring. But that's down the road. I mean, we're fully a year behind because of not getting paid.
I mean, I could definitely see like a kid who wants to get into agriculture but doesn't have a farm. Finding a farm that will, you can come like
Yeah,
a 4-H project of a cow that is with somebody so they don't have to have.
exactly. Well, we also have made some I have just, because we couldn't really pay people last year because we didn't think we were gonna get paid. I've had some good conversations with some of the fair board members who say, we'll bring an animal, they can come to my farm and you know, and there are gonna be some requirements that they have to do some mentor training, but it's really 4-H mentor training, so it'll be the positive youth development 101.
Yeah, some of these kids would like, as you get it rolling, Steph Larson joined my club and
Yeah.
offered to some older kids and there if they want, when they have the yak babies, if they want to,
The-
her and her husband are willing to like maybe bring one for the fair. I was like, okay. Let's hold the, I like that thought, but let me even ask the fair if they want it, like, but, so if you have youth that are kind of in this program and Jake's like, I want to love to put them in. I don't have all the animals, but Steph did offer to some teens that are older youth that are like start to finish, she's willing to have them to the farm with her.
Which would be really, really great, and if you haven't seen, you probably drive by every day, so it's the Ag Farm south of Westport. It's on the right hand side as you go south, and they're just such a cool animal, and they have, I don't know, 12 of them.
Yeah, there's a lot. I farmed Sat for a month. She's like, there's gonna be no babies, and I remember just crying because there was this baby after. And she's in like Africa, and I was like, oh my God. I called my dad, and he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I need your help. But yeah, there's at least 12, and they're very gentle, but and we offered to our club our cow too, to get more stuff to the fair. So if there are some of those students in that mentoring program, I'm willing. And then they could even kind of practice some of what they're learning with our young kids. So you can like
That would be,
with her town.
that would be great.
When I was younger, that like a way a lot of people got into animals was there were calves or foals that were actually donated to people that people could apply for through 4-H through the county. And like I started out where I ended up putting my first one was at Linda Doobie's. And I mean, I raised it there for a few years and then my herd started to grow. I moved it to a closer farm, started to grow. I then had to take on, and by then I was in my early teens. And then it was just, when I went to college, I filled half of the 4-H farm with my cattle that started at one cow that I won when I was
love
8.
that. I love that. Well, I'm hopeful, that we're gonna start small. We do have, because of reconfiguring this whole married program, now we're gonna probably have more money, which will maybe help people to get to where animals are, get to where farmers are, get to have more transportation money. So,
Because succession planning is a real thing. Like there needs to be young farmers who want to take over
absolutely.
these
Well,
farms and things that are being.
we've been addressing succession planning at the top end, people who are trying to get out of their farms and want to get them in the hands of new farmers, but we have not been addressing the other end. So that's kind of what we're hoping to do. And Cole and Ellie, I think, are going to be really instrumental because they've been doing farm visits all over the county, so we have to figure out. When I see what a mentoring program looks like after it's existed for 20 years, it gave me a whole lot of hope because Jake and I were both really feeling like we were starting from the beginning, like just establishing it. So now we have a little bit more to kind of to see how they started, and they're really willing to coach us.
Well, and it's not just the agriculture side of things, the art side of things too, places that are. Sue Young with her pottery business and Jay, she's starting to get to that point. I need to think of where I'm going to transition in the next 5-10 years. So that could be another mentoring
I
opportunity.
am taking names, believe me, I'm everywhere. Yep. Great. Well, I'm very hopeful. I think that's really all I have to say in terms of my report. I'm always glad to talk and get ideas, and if you think, just as you're around and about. I haven't even the mentoring program in Utah is all school-based, it's all after-school based. And, I just haven't been able to wrap my head around it, because we had so many ideas that were just different, but that is a strength of that program, so, you know, we have to talk about it. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for me? It's been a wacky year, let's just say it, you know, it'll be great, we have a lot to look forward to in 2026.
Just congratulations on something. Doing so successfully.
Well, it is remarkable that we are actually pretty much back where we started from. I mean, in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
And I don't regret a lot of the lessons that we learned, but I don't really want to do them again.
It's really funny, adversity creates the opportunity to do stuff better and more efficient,
Mhm,
like COVID taught us
mhm.
a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that it just also made us all really want to do what we do. Made all the reasons why we live here. Like, we still want to live here, we still want to live like this, we still want to be here. We don't want to, you know, and I think that's making people pretty motivated and pretty excited to. A good thing. So I don't know, Lori, are you queued up at a minute 35? The other thing I was
Oh, yeah,
gonna show you, if you want to take the time, is January 8th, we were, CCE was specifically, kind of featured in the Commissioner of Agriculture's State of Agriculture address. And it's been really fun working with his staff that was working with him to craft that speech. There's a lot of different components. One's about dairy, one's about just a whole bunch of the state programs. And they recognize that the BOCES, CVS BOCES, I've gotten a grant for the food system resiliency grant. Anyway, yep. And food pantries is another one. But can you guys online see Laurie's screen? So we just this is a 50-minute speech, but we're just gonna show you the part where he mentions Essex County. I'm a little embarrassed, actually. He mentions me personally. It was supposed to be CCE Essex. But he also mentions Megan Doman, who was really instrumental in getting this video made.
Just tell me when you.
Yeah, go.
Pantries and kitchens across the state that commit their hearts to that good work. And to be able to do it with New York food, it just doesn't get much better than that.
This was just last
We're
Thursday.
prioritizing local food across and through our school food program also. These programs, pretty close to my heart in Schoharie County. Long before I was commissioner, I worried about what kids were eating in our schools in the breadbasket of the revolution. Whether a student knew about New York agriculture, whether they knew about where the food came from, whether they knew anything about the opportunities that were right in their own backyard. So we set out to work on that about 10 years ago with our Farm to School program. And today I'm proud to say that those efforts have expanded through complementary programs like the 30% Initiative and our Regional School Infrastructure Program. We recently announced some pretty significant milestones that these programs have reached as they help provide a boost to our farmers, while at the same time helping to make sure that no student goes hungry in a New York classroom. Through the 30% New York State Initiative and the Farm to School Grant Program and the Regional School Food Infrastructure Grant Program, over $66 million has been dedicated to bringing New York State foods to schools since 2021, reaching more than over 1 million students in that time. Our schools, our CCEs, and many partner organizations are doing just incredible work across the state. They're buying from local farmers, they're taking a chance on a new recipe, they're crafting a good meal for students, offering taste tests, all in the name of bringing kids really good food that's really good for them, so they have the fuel they need to learn and to grow. We visited Champlain Valley Educational Service, BOCES, to help them kick off their regional school food infrastructure project. And in fact, I mentioned them here last year when I was at this meeting. Launched in 2024, the program helps schools supply nutritious, scratch-made meals for children. For years, the CVES BOCES has been closely working with their partners and our partners at CCE in Essex County, area farmers, to bring high-quality, nutrient-dense food into those local cafeterias. But now, thanks to a $5 million grant that they received, CVES BOCES is able to build on that partnership, and they're currently constructing a brand-new commissary, which will feature a central food hub and 2 state-of-the-art educational facilities, all of which will help get even more local food to more kids in their district. I want to give a special shout out to our partners at CCE Essex, including Elizabeth Lee and Megan Doman, who is now with CCE's Harvest New York team, and for their hard work and their partnership on putting this video together. Let's take a look and hear directly from some pretty incredibly passionate people about their experience integrating local food into the school cafeteria. These folks, including Shared Food Service Director Julie Holbrook, School Lunch Manager Zachary Zarling and Jocelyn Lopez, and a farmer, Adam Hayner, a friend of mine in Juniper Hill Farm, who I got to work with closely about 10 years ago, truly embody the motto of things just seem to work better when we work together. Let's take a look at this video. Had to start with carrots. That's good.
So my role is to coordinate the day-to-day operations of the school food at Peru. One of my main focuses is always using more and more local products. Local veggies, carrots and lettuce from Juniper Hill Farm, eggs from Lattimores, yogurt from North Country Creamery, and just like creating recipes that the kids will like and be excited about more than they ever have been.
So we did a comparison of what pricing was of buying pizzas that were already made. And the cost of that compared to making our own in 1 year's time, it was $100,000 savings. That's the difference.
The way Julie set things up in our program is that to make it not only sustainable, but cost effective for the school districts. And that's our main driving point for the school districts, along with the nutrition and then knowing where our food comes from.
The school districts we work with buy a lot of our orange carrots, rainbow beets. Sweet potato fingerlings have been a big hit, as well as our potatoes for French fries and hash browns. I see progress that I never saw before in terms of local food purchasing.
They come in, they smell, they're expressive, they're talking, a lot of energy in our kitchens.
Most schools, you're lucky to make 50% year-round participation for lunch. Our schools average usually 60 to 90% participation.
It used to be, what is it? Oh, I don't want that. But now it's, what is it? Oh, that sounds good, I'm gonna try it. And even just trying things, whether they like it or not, is important for them to try, because once they try it, then they want to know more about it. And when they know more about it, then they know where it comes from and how it grows and how it's harvested.
The kids drive by these fields, on their bus routes. Engaging youth in agriculture is really important to me, and I think we do that through food. We put up about 500,000 pounds of storage crop every year. The school year being September through June, it really opens up a lot of sales possibilities.
And at first it was like, oh, they'll never eat that. Oh, they won't like that. Like, well, let's just try. Let's just try and see what happens.
We have doing kale chips from Juniper Hill Farm, and the kids, which I didn't think was gonna happen, they ended up loving them, and it's one of our staples today.
Not everything works, but a lot of it works.
My hope is that everybody can kind of start being cognizant of the ingredients that they use, whether it be scratch cooking or just adding 1 or 2 things in here and there that are local or from the state of New York or just made from scratch. And I do see it happening. I think there is a shift happening. I think the idea is changing around school food, in our region especially.
The local food system is a huge draw to our area, and by the schools participating in our local food system, every taxpayer in our area is participating in it.
Our commissary kitchen, we're not just gonna serve to our districts, we're gonna serve out of our district as well, so that we can kind of initiate that movement in our area. And hopefully that spreads like wildfire across the whole state.
These kinds of stories are taking place every day all across New York. Most of them fly underneath the radar.
I will send that I'll send it to the supervisors, and I'll send it to a couple other people. It's long, it has some other really good shout outs. I never knew he did that state of agriculture every year, but it's kind of nice that they came to us, so.
We got the Adirondack Harvest logo on there.
Yeah, that's right. That was that was one of the, when he said the things that I did, I didn't do anything, I didn't make that video, that was before I even got here. But, that was what I was really hoping for, was the recognition for CCE, and I really thought it was great, and for Megan. So that's some good news, and that's what just tell you that we are also really jumping back into the FMPP grant, which this will be fun. Videos like this will be part of it. And great news stories too. Tim Rowland is a writer who has done some great writing for us, and he's also really starting that. So that's the good news from the executive director's desk.
Old business, restructuring the act committee and adding on that carbon.
Are you want to talk about that?
We'll talk about
Yeah.
that. We brought it up in December, but we wanted to table it for the mostly full board. The idea being that we just feel like the Ag and Local Food Program Committee and the Adirondack Harvest Program Committees can be combined. They're all working toward the same thing. They overlap a lot, and we just think it'll be easier to get everyone to, you know, instead of having 8 meetings a year, have 4 meetings a year, and we'll get more participation. So what I've put in here, this is a proposed 2026 organizational report, where we have set up a new committee.
Do we have that, or is it? Oh, it's on the back. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, yeah, well, the back are the people who would be leaving,
Right.
right? So the front would be the new committee, possibly bringing on one new person, Robert Dumas from Paul Smith's, who has actually been calling and begging to be on the committee for about a year. I'm like, oh, well, okay then. And trying to set up so that there's staggered terms, not too many, because all the Adirondack Harvest Committee all became a committee at once because they used to be the board for Adirondack Harvest. So they all came on and had 6, they were all gonna expire with 6 years all at once. So what we've done, the ones on the back, we've taken out some of the ones who have not been able to attend in a while, who I just think are ready to move on, although I'll miss them terribly. We might end up checking with Curtis Hem for
Yeah.
one more term. George, of course, is done. Charlie's done. I think Carol Calabrese has been on for probably 25 years, counting her board's term. And we're still in constant touch with her anyway about IDA opportunities. Bob Barodi down in AFL, he's hasn't been at a meeting in a while, but we do have representatives from the different regions for both agriculture and Adirondack Harvest. It is ending up being a committee with a regional reach. And we've provided for that in our operating procedures so that it is okay to do that. Normally, we try to stay in Essex County, but in any case, this front page is the proposed structure. We haven't quite, we haven't really touched base with Robert Dumas yet, but you don't need to approve who's on the committee. This is just a question like, what do you think? Is this a good idea to combine those? Or can you see a benefit in keeping them as 2 separate committees? This is really.
It's hard enough to get people to want to be part of something,
Yeah.
and when you're duplicating work, it's pointless.
It'll
For sure.
it'll really be a lot more efficient, and the whole point, part of why we want to do it is because we want to goose our program advisory committee a little bit. We want to get more out of them, give them a bit more back, have it be more engaging and fulfilling for them. And I think we can do it much better by having a tighter group. I do think we want to double check with a couple of the people, in particular Curtis Ham, because he's had a rough year. He really is maybe wants to stay involved with us. So.
Yep.
We don't want to kick them off if they don't want to be off, but a refresh and combine would probably be good. It does. It does.
And this also makes for one fewer board liaison. Instead of 2, could possibly be the one who is already Adirondack Harvest, Mike Kuba. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
The other piece that it does, there is a piece of it that pertains to supervisors, because in the committee assignments that were just made, I saw that you're assigned to us and Ike was assigned to Adirondack Harvest, but there isn't an Adirondack Harvest. There isn't a board. So I got back to Judy Garrison and said, does that mean he would be part of the program advisory committee? But she said, Steve McNally wants him to continue to be a liaison to the board. There needs some clarification. There isn't an Adirondack Harvest board. There hasn't been since 20.
There's a couple of clarifications in those new appointments, so
Okay,
I won't worry about it.
okay, I don't think I.
It's been about 4 or 5 years since we went from a board to the committee,
Okay,
did away with the board, so.
And I think it's
Yeah.
more for Ike just being involved in the things that happen at the fairground.
I think it's no problem at all to tell him when the meetings are and tell him, invite him to come, and he'll be right down the street in the building anyway, so I don't think it's gonna be a problem, I just think that it needs to come off the books at the county. Assignments.
Do we need a vote for this? Do you know? Kevin, I'm trying to
Kevin,
find out if this is a thing do we need to vote to combine these committees, or would that be part of our vote on the
Organization, operating guidelines.
operating guidelines? Where we still,
So that's up to you. I think if you look in your constitution, there's specified committees in there, and then it mentions ad hoc committees that you can appoint at any time. So this would be actually getting rid of a committee and combining two. So if the board wants to pass a resolution to do that, you can do that locally. There's no requirement to.
okay.
I guess one of the things that's always good is if you pass a resolution, it goes in the minutes, and if anybody wants to look back, wants to remember, it's in there.
As Dan Manning always says, belt and suspenders. I'll make that motion to combine the two.
All right, so, okay, so
Okay.
we'll resolve to combine the two, all in favor?
Need a
Oh,
second.
we need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we will resolve to combine those two committees.
Thank you.
There,
we have-
there's gonna be a little bit of alignment needed when we get to these operating guidelines, but we can figure it out, because that harvest festival is mentioned in it, I mean, the harvest, I don't know, harvest committee, but we can figure that out.
Yep, it's all highlighted for review. And I think we just put the calendar on here because you did pass it at the December
Yeah,
executive
but-
committee meeting, but we wanted the rest of the board to see it
Right.
and have a chance for
to-
input.
To look at this
Yeah.
and,
It's roughly every other month. The full board meets, and we have put a placeholder for the executive committee to meet in the interim months. Sometimes we might need it, sometimes we might not. And the executive committee, if they're not voting on things, this is a question for you also, Kevin. If they're not voting on anything, but the executive committee has to come in and sign it, well, I guess it actually is a vote technically. There may be a time when we need you to just convene for 10 minutes to just sign a thing. And or approve a thing so that it can get signed, but might not be a full meeting. Okay.
So what was your question for me, Elizabeth?
The question really was if the executive committee would have to meet to discuss a matter, but not vote on anything. That's acceptable, right? They don't have to have there, as long as there's 3 out of the 4 executive committee members. And they're discussing something but not voting on anything. They can meet every other month to do that if they need to review some financial question or to if something were to come up.
So they're just meeting for discussion. They're not taking action on anything.
Correct.
And so you're asking whether you have to post that meeting?
No, I was asking well, I guess that is the question. Is that a legitimate? Yeah, I guess, do we have to post it? I mean, can it be an informal executive committee? As long as minutes are taken. I want to know what the requirements are.
Well, if it's
think
less than a
from-
quorum of the board and they're not taking action, then it doesn't constitute a meeting.
If it's a quorum of the executive committee, what has to happen to make that possible?
Let me check on that because you're saying that when they're getting together, they're not they can't not plan on taking action, but then take action.
Right,
And because then it does become they are acting on behalf of the board at that point.
right. I'm just trying to make sure that when we have a meeting every other month, that we have in place whatever we have to have in place to make sure that that's a legitimate meeting. So maybe we should just not borrow trouble right now. I think
Yeah.
we're okay. I think we're okay. If we need you, we'll tell you. And if it more than likely would only be to make a decision. More than likely. So we'll get back to you on that one. Sorry for that detour. I think it's still what I said before, roughly every other month for the full board, and then a placeholder for the executive committee.
Just for the executive committee, if we have to have a forum, how far in advance will, do you have to know it, or publicize it? Is it a week? or
This
10
is,
days?
this is the thing that I don't really know how far, how the rules pertain if it's just executive committee for the public notice.
I don't know that either.
Well, if the executive committee is acting on behalf of the board, it's just like a board meeting.
So the same sort of posting.
Right, but there,
Yeah.
but if you look and I don't quote me off the top of my head, but you can pull together an emergency meeting. It is a shorter time period. So if you're pulling the executive committee together to do something that you hadn't planned on doing, there is a shorter time frame that you can post.
I know at the town board level, we can pull a special meeting together in 48 hours.
You might be right. I was going to say 72, but it might be 48. It is it's in the open meetings law. I can check on it and let you know.
That'd be
Lori.
great. Thank you, Kevin.
There's
Yep.
probably certain items that qualify for,
Special meetings.
yeah,
When you post a special meeting, you just need to talk about what you're gonna be discussing in that special meeting. And then anything else that comes before the executive committee.
Okay, I think we should probably, I mean, if we're gonna leave them on the calendar, we probably need to just get them all posted.
Yeah, I
And
just
we'll-
made a note to do that.
And I'm sorry to
Yeah.
just add them if we end up canceling them, because what happens then? Do we have to put, cancel them in a million places too? That's kind of a pain too. I don't know. Let's try it. Let's just not get too bogged down in the postings and things. We'll let you know. We'll figure it out. Lori and I will figure it out with Kevin. And I think the special meeting is the way to go if we run into trouble, but please put these on your calendar so we don't bug you with doodle polls and additional planning. Okay? Okay, great.
Sorry, I'm just gonna put it out there now, the August meeting, I'm at the 15th through the
Okay, then. Noted.
That is when we need a quorum, for sure. But we didn't work on it. We'll work on it.
I can do Zoom from the state fair, but. I
Yeah.
just won't be there.
That's a long commute. No worries.
Okay, the work of the board, we sort of discussed this in December and we didn't get too far on this.
I- You want me to explain?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So Lori serves the role, Laura is designated as the assistant to the treasurer in the financial controls or reading the guidelines.
It's in the minutes.
Or maybe
We
it's
did
just
it,
the minutes.
we did it,
Yes.
the minutes, and,
Okay.
and then I was the assistant to
Financial
the,
control, but now it's also. in the
right,
minutes.
right. And then I was the
So-
assistant to the secretary, but then there's the clerk of the board, which
Right.
is something totally different.
The clerk of the board means basically, it's something that we need to put in place. It's a system thing. It's not a problem that's broken. It's a system thing. So that if there is a person who is designated the person to support the board. And she already does that. She sends out all the board, she organizes the meetings, she sends out all the materials, she's taking, she's being the assistant to the secretary. But where it comes up is if the board president needs to ask for something and say, Lori, I need you to, whatever,
Like tonight, she needed me to make copies.
right? She has the authority to bypass me and go to the clerk of the board. Normally, you don't want your board members to not to be asking your staff to do things without going through the executive director. We have a great working relationship. There hasn't been a problem, but it is something that should be specified. That there is a clerk of the board and that also her position description reflects that she is the clerk of the board. That's why we're trying to just put it in place. It's, there's not a communication problem to best of my knowledge. And it did come up again another time, which was when, during my performance review process, it wouldn't be appropriate to go through me. She needed to have a person and she should be able to go directly to the clerk of the board. So do we have language? Do we have language? Well, I'll just say, I would recommend that the board appoint Lori the clerk of the board. And we can specify more what goes into that responsibility, but, it will be essentially supporting the board president in conducting the business of the board.
And do we need a standalone road for that?
Kevin,
Or is that an
Appoint
operation?
you.
can Tricia just appoint a clerk of the board?
Say it again?
Can Tricia just appoint a clerk of the board?
Sure. I mean, you'll probably put it in your operating guidelines, I would think, if you wanna permanently do that. But it can only be for 1 year and you can revisit it. It's entirely up to you how you want to do that.
So for 2026, I appoint Lori as clerk of the board.
Great, thank you.
Thank you to update the operating guidelines.
We will, because, yeah,
You got a chance to do that
we're gonna
next.
do that
Yeah, you can
too.
do that.
Coming right up.
We're gonna do that.
Thank you for your excellent work in that role already, Lori.
Sure.
Not a way to do all the jobs of the clerk of the board and now finally get the title with no pay.
I know.
We'll
Listen,
see about the pay.
no, there's a big learning curve there because I'm already doing it, but, where are we? Oh, the appointments.
So we have the executive committee. I've been doing the community vitality and I will continue to do that unless someone else is dying to do that. Be part of that committee. Mike, would you be willing to be our board representative for the combined Adirondack Harvest Ag Committee still? Good, all
You,
right.
you can always do that via Zoom. You
Yeah.
don't have to come up.
Yeah, that's a possibility, all right. And then, the nominating committee.
This I'm gonna make a little pitch because this is really important. We have not had a nominating committee really that was in place and rolling and creating a pipeline of service on the board. And you really need it. And the minimum requirements are 2 board members and 3 community members. That's the minimum requirements. And it can take a full year to round up people who are interested, to teach them what it's like, maybe even have a sit-in on a meeting, and then get them nominated in time for the annual meeting. And Cooperative Extension has a great toolbox for board members, for a nominating committee. And Kevin is going to offer a training for nominating committee chairs in March or sometime. So,
It's either March or May. I can't remember which. It's one of those M months.
so I will be happy to help support that committee. Staff members do not serve on that committee. He does not serve on that, but it's really, really an important role. And we have a kind of a running list of some pretty good suggestions and it's important. So I hope someone will tackle it. And like I said, I'll be glad to provide all the information and the timeline and the scripts to use and all of the thing. And we do have people who I think are interested. You know, I think Robert Dumas, Chef Robert is interested in being an actual board member. We have a bunch of program advisory committee members who I think would be long-term be interested, including the one on community vitality, Colleen, who was recommended by the Office for the Aging.
Yes.
And she'd be great. There are Master Gardener volunteers who I think might be interested. I think we have good choices. It's just a question of having a system to ask them to participate because they aren't aware that we would like them in it. And in the past, I mean, or in some organizations, the way it works too is that there's sort of an assumption that the vice president would like to be next in line to be the president. And those are the kinds of things a nominating committee can do too, is sort of get a pipeline so that there's no big gaps in between roles. And the nominating committee can also talk to all the board members and say kind of what is a role that you would like to play? Is there a role that you aren't playing that you would like to? And just have those conversations. So, again, that's my pitch. I hope that someone will be willing to tackle it and I'll be glad to. It is an organizational sustainability. It's a really critical organizational sustainability role.
Yeah, and, both Daniel and I, will be off the board at the end of this year. So we will need to be replaced, definitely.
Maybe you should, loan till Daniel.
Yeah, no, no.
You can ask him to be the nominee for the chair for this year. He might say no, but.
He has so much free time now that he's not the treasurer.
I.
It's not here either, so
And,
leave that one in. I was thinking that you might be interested in doing it, because it's gonna be.
I was gonna say yes.
Great.
I'd be happy to also, text Daniel, since Daniel wrote me into this, and Daniel wrote me into vice president. And then, so,
Yeah, and if you have people in mind,
We have a list.
yeah, but, the only thing I was really asked, because I ended up doing this last year. And, I would get a list of names with no contact information, no background. If you could approach people that you would think would be interested and just kind of feel them out, see if it's really someone that we can contact. Give us some background on these people. Why do you think they would be good for the board? Because there's nothing worse than calling somebody up and saying, why are you calling? Yeah, and
I can definitely help make that
you know,
better.
but, yeah, so as much info as possible, that would really be helpful.
I will help. I will make sure that you have that, Jessica, that you would have the info, and if you want to do it with Daniel maybe for a year.
Yeah,
Then you
the
can
two
start.
of you, and then you can maybe get other outside people involved as well.
I think that there's gonna be a line, to be honest with you, from what. people
Good.
have. I think there
Good.
will be, but it does take it's a minimum of 2 board members with 3 additional community members, so if you and Daniel can do it for this year. And then 3 additional community members, I think you appoint them, Tricia, but if Jessica, if you and Daniel wanna kind of discuss and figure out who you would want. One of the questions that's always come up in the board composition is having geographic distribution across the county. We have a great group because we can get a quorum in person. It's really important. But in addition, you want to have people who are aware at least of what's happening across the county. So that's where maybe a program advisory committee person from Lake Placid or from Chaconora or from elsewhere might. You can maybe talk about who you want and then tell Tricia and she can appoint them.
That sounds good.
Elizabeth, if I could offer a little bit of advice too. So if I'm not mistaken, you reduced the size of your board this year, did you not?
We did.
So, and you've got 2 people going off your board?
At the end of December.
Right, so your percentages have now changed. So 25% of your board is stepping down. It becomes critically important, the smaller the numbers of your board, that it's not always something you should look for, but wouldn't it be great if what you were adding were people who had been on boards before and understand, or even better, understand the open meetings law, because there's a learning curve there, I think, for any of you that were not familiar with it and became familiar with it. So, you know, as time goes on, the quicker you can get people, the 8 people you have up to speed, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, agreed. That's something important to make a little grid of kind of what the expertise is and the experiences that is needed. And Daniel is aware of that too. He's well familiar. And that is the exact reason to have a pipeline, you know, so that people know both about our county, but also about governance. The CCE is kind of it's a unique animal in that way.
And so I think that's all our committees then. Approving the AR and BR agreements.
So for those,
I just realized I didn't provide the AR. I did it back in December, but I didn't do it today, sorry.
I can just tell you what it is and what's needed. So the AR is our agreement between the Essex County and Cooperative Extension. And it is an agreement that says that they will financially support CCE and they depend and requiring us to have an agreement with Cornell to provide services to our county. So that, there are some details of that, but I don't think that you all need to go too far into it. Basically, the money that the county gives us leverages the money that we get from state money from County Law 224. And the, it's a very, so you would need to authorize the board president to sign the AR. What does AR actually stand for, Kevin?
Well, I wish you'd ask me what BR stands for, because I know that. That one is just, the short answer there is, it's called Big Red, so that you remember. That's the university one. AR is administrative, and I'll think of what the other word is in a minute, but yeah.
It's okay, it doesn't matter, they're two contracts, one, the AR is our contract with the county, our BR is the contract with Cornell, the, our Big Red. And the BR is actually quite a bit longer, and it stipulates what Cornell does and what the association does, so what we're paying for, what they're giving us. There were changes this year, which I would fully encourage you to empower Tricia to review. I can go over them, but really, it's really just clarifying roles because there were, it doesn't obligate us to any more new expensive things. It's just really clarifying who's doing what. For example, that we have to have that we have to have specifying that our policies have to meet federal, state laws and not required policies to utilize Cornell systems and adopt local policies which don't conflict with federal, state, or Cornell policies. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. It's just fixing the writing in it. Clarifying that the requirement for liability insurance and directors officers insurance is not we don't have to get out bonds. We don't take out bonds for that. We pay for insurance liability and directors and officers insurance. I mean, liability insurance, yes. So some of these are things that requires us to get cyber insurance. Those are things that are not, what I'm reading from is this sort of summary of historic changes. I just don't think that y'all really are, there's a lot to be concerned about, but I would rather that you authorize Tricia to review it with me than we spend a lot of time on it right now.
Okay,
If that's okay with you.
yeah, and does the AR need similar revisions
No,
to, okay,
no, that was one of the products of the past year at CCE. There was a lot of turnover and change there as well in terms of reviewing systems, getting things that were misleading or had caused conflicts or problems in other counties. And they're uniform across all the counties and they have been reviewed and we don't get a lot of choice about what they say.
okay, I just wasn't sure if the two agreements compare each other.
They have different purposes because one's a contract with the county and one's a contract with Cornell.
Okay,
But we get them, they give them to us and we have.
Yeah.
We don't have them put into them at this point, although we did have during
You
the year.
agree to this or you don't get my,
That's right.
yeah, I wasn't sure if some of the language on what the extension's role was and powers needed to be reflected in that, but it makes sense also that the county lays out the agreement. And,
Well, in this case, Cornell lays out the agreement and the county manager signs it and the board president signs it.
So if I could also add, so the county agreement is laid out mainly by Cornell University. But really what they're doing is laying out based on what County Law 224 says, so that counties don't make modifications to it and violate the law unknowingly. And so they lay out a standard document. In the past, some counties have wanted to change it, but they have to follow County Law 224 in order to do it. And not all counties have necessarily done that in the past. As I said, unknowingly have tried to change it.
And that, a lot of that is spelled out in attachment A. And I'm happy to spend more time on County Law 224 in the future if people are interested for the purposes of y'all's time and, you know, the evening. In the past, it's always been delegated to the president to review it and then sign it. And it is a digital signature. It has to go through e-sign.
All right,
But you all have to authorize the board president to sign the ARN again.
Okay, I will make a motion to authorize the board president to review the RFPR and work with the executive director and sign it.
all right. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so I will do that.
Thank you all for going through these are annual tasks.
Thanks for outlining that so well too.
Well, if you have questions after you look it over, feel free, and the AR is in your December packet. So it's in that notebook somewhere. Or in your email. Okay, operating guidelines. We again tabled these from December. Lori has highlighted the parts that, we are suggesting changing,
Or just
updating.
noted.
Yeah, do you want to talk about these?
Sure, and I might loop you in too. So on page 2, I wanted to note that for the Community Vitality Advisory Committee, we used to have adult designated who we used to have 2 kids on that committee. Usually 4-H kids, and then the parents would come with them because they can't drive, and so they would just be, you know, they would be accompanied and then they'd sort of sit in on the meetings sometimes. And so this was just an exception to our guidelines that you can't, if you're on any committee member can't have a kid or a, you know, spouse or whatever, but we just made an exception for that. Now, I'm not sure if we still do that. I don't think we still have kids on these committees.
Not currently, no.
Yeah,
But we could.
we could. So
would
we
be
can
great
leave
to
this
have
in here then.
There's no point to remove it.
Right, so let's leave that. The second highlighted part was just because we're gonna combine those, so I'm gonna work on the language there to combine the committees. But this is where we had the exception to being a county resident. Because we do have regional reach for these things, so I will work on the language for those. I also just made a note on page 3. And I don't know if we have time to discuss all of this tonight, but I did note number 11 saying that the board of directors will evaluate itself every 2 to 3 years. Not sure when we've done that or if we've done that.
2022.
We did. How awesome. So we're on track maybe this year then, it sounds like. That'll be 4 years, but it's okay.
I want to back up, Lori.
Sure.
Okay, let's go back to that, these, eligibility rules.
Sure.
The one that says a person is not eligible to serve on a committee if, and the third bullet says they are not a county resident. And couldn't we just make this one exception and just say the agriculture program, agriculture and Adirondack farmers, whatever we want to call that committee, can we just make one exception? And
That's
say,
what I said. I was just gonna combine those.
do we have the name that we want it to be?
It was on the sheet
on
that
that
I just
paper?
handed out. Yeah, I think it's
AG and
agriculture,
pack.
yeah, it could be. Agriculture and Local Food Program Committee.
I think
That's
we
what we're
should
calling
just
that.
go ahead and put that in there and then they can approve it, because if you have to change something later, unless we want to, you have to change it later, they
That's
can't vote on it tonight, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we could, this, I kind of thought we might not be able to vote on it tonight
Okay.
because there was enough in here to maybe think about including the very big part about Cornell Cooperative Extension, and some affirmative action. Oh yeah, there's some affirmative action language in there. So that I'm just was gonna throw that big can of worms out there. So but definitely, I was just gonna combine those two exceptions using the name of the new committee.
Okay.
That was definitely.
We can just pass this, giving the clerk of the board the power to adjust the language.
At the direction of the board president.
Please do that.
Okay, I shall.
Please.
I like it.
And talking about all the DEI stuff, leave it in there.
I think that was the question, like, what are the board's wishes?
It would be good to somehow state in the record or something that, that we were directed to leave this here. It's a purview or the prerogative of the board to leave that language in here.
Absolutely.
Kevin, do you have thoughts on that? Are we getting ourselves in trouble?
So what is the question related to that?
In the operating guidelines on the third page, there's a
Yep.
big paragraph that's highlighted. And the board is suggesting that they want to leave that there.
The
With,
references to DEI and affirmative action, you're saying?
yes,
Yes,
Um,
it does not use the acronym DEI or anything else.
it does use affirmative action. It does
it
say.
does use affirmative action, and it's entirely up to you. There is no affirmative action anymore.
Right. So the problematic ones is,
Well, then just get rid of the
I
last
was gonna
sentence.
say the last sentence could just go and because we uphold everything else in here.
gender and sexual orientation, we want to leave all of those in.
Yeah, and those are all still required to collect for programming purposes. Remember, USDA still requires you to collect on those. It's the change really came when it came to hiring practices of staff.
Right. Right. So this is an exclusion in programming, so since we're supposed to be. I think you're right, I think we can just get rid of the last sentence. and
Yeah,
leave
that
it there.
sounds like
Yeah.
a way to do that.
And then I'll make a note, or maybe you want to work with Tricia on just backing up just a little bit on putting together a board evaluation
Sure.
process for this year. And then the only other thing I had of note was, I just want you to know that I rephrased it to say meeting dates will be scheduled for the third or fourth Monday, because it used to just say, I think the third, one or the other, but we've, just for making the calendar work, it's been third or fourth Monday. Unless a Monday is a holiday, in which case we will meet on the fourth Tuesday. We haven't had to do that this year. I think everything else is there, and I will add clerk of the board language to this. And then I think then we can adopt this at the next meeting, or the executive committee can, we can just.
Yeah, I was
do
gonna
that.
say, just to keep it moving forward, if the
Yep.
executive committee can do it, if we
Yep.
don't have any other business except this, we just roll it over to the next board meeting.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
I wonder, is it possible that we can vote on this tonight with the understanding of the changes we just discussed?
Unless you wanna look at the language about the clerk of the board, but it's up to you guys. I'm fine with you.
I'd say we vote on it tonight.
Yes, one more thing to get off the list.
All right. Yeah, we've already appointed a clerk of the board, and
Yep.
we don't have a position and official position, which I think that's not the end of the world. but-
I think that between Lori and me and Tricia, we could get a language that would make it right.
Sure.
So if you guys wanna do that, that's authorizing it.
Okay, so, we get a motion to adopt the, operating guidelines and with the, amendments as noted.
I'll make that motion.
A second,
I second.
all in favor? Any opposed? Once you good?
I'm good.
Okay, all right, so we will approve the operating guidelines as amended. There's a bunch of forms that we.
Wait,
we
back
more,
up, which
one more,
shouldn't take too long. The policy manual.
Okay.
We just do have to adopt the policy manual. There are no changes. Everything has been approved by the board. We had some changes last year during the year. You've all reviewed it and approved it. you really want to look at it,
I
it's right
accept
here.
policy manual.
It's just an annual task.
Yep.
All right.
And then I can update everything with, every policy will be updated with this year's approval of it. And anytime there are any changes, it will come to the board. You will be made aware of it.
All right, so motion to adopt the policy manual.
That was Matt, it's already made that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll approve the policy manual.
The forms.
Yes, but
So the forms, the only one we wanted to make a note of was there is a form that collects diversity information. And I don't know, Kevin, are we required to do that, or can the board decide if that's optional? I think we got it from HR a long time ago. We've been using it for years. You're muted.
This is in regard to collecting it on program participants or staff?
The board.
On
Oh,
volunteers.
there, you still do collect that information and it is tracked for USDA purposes for the board.
Okay, good to know.
all right.
So you all have those, Mike and John and Florence and Daniel, I'll just make sure to resend those out in an email so it does not cluttered with all of your other stuff, and just turn them back in when you get a chance. We'll also, let's see, there'll be one person is gonna need a background check next month, Mr. Stanley. But I'll be sending that out. That's all done via email. And other than that, just turn these forms in as soon as you have them filled out, and I can have those on file. I had written to update contact information for all the board members, but because we didn't get new ones, I think unless anyone has any
Yeah, if
changes,
anybody has changes?
you can let me know. But I think all of my information is up to date.
All right, good.
Yep.
And then there is, a board orientation meeting that's going to be held on January 22nd. Kevin, you're gonna be doing that?
Yeah, Paul O'Connor and I will be hosting that. And so any new board members, and if you have no new board members, we're encouraging existing board members can participate as well. Some of it you may already know about, but it'll be about an hour, and obviously it's via Zoom.
It's 5 to 6 or so, right?
6 to 7, I believe.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right. Is there anything else that we need to discuss tonight?
Oh, well, yes, you have an executive session on it.
Yes, I do that. And, anything before we go into executive session?
You want our forms just left in the binder, you might.
Oh, I can take them out of the binder if you want to leave them in there. Doesn't matter. However you want to do it.
So will one of you guys lock the doors when you get done?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And I assume we're keeping. Kevin, do you stay for that or no?
For the
Executive session?
yeah.
Okay, so I'll leave this going. Raquel knows the drill here, but I can take down the first part, which is whoever makes a motion to go into executive session.
Right, so
I'll make that motion.
7:04.
You also have some board members on here too, I think, that would want to participate, right?
yes,
Yeah,
that's
that's why she's
we're
making.
doing this again, so everybody can weigh in.
Okay, so I'll leave this running. That's going down to Markel. And then when I probably will stick around for a little bit here, so when you come out, I mean, if you take an hour, I probably won't be here.
No,
but-
it's going to be.
I have
All right.
dogs to feed. so-
Okay. All right, so I'll come back in and you guys can stop the meeting if you want, but I need to save it onto the computer. I just don't want to lose it.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night, Ronnie. Thank
We
you.
need to stop recording executive session.
We
correct?
do need to stop recording. Let's do that now.
And the year of horse.
Thanks for all of your work.